Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. So, as I was at the airport in Dallas Fort Worth yesterday, somebody sent me a PM on Facebook linking this article over at the Gygax Memorial Fund.org page. So, I read it and I went, oh, really? So, a Gygax Park bench in place. Can I have a drum roll, please? So, what exactly does this entail? Well, on June 1st, the Lake Geneva Public Works Department installed a new Gygax Park bench donated by the Gygax Memorial Fund. The bench is located at the far west end of Elm Park, aka Library Park, where Gary used to read books from the Lake Geneva Public Library, dreaming of one day living in a mansion and writing fantasy novels of his own. Gary would realize this dream in 1985, living in Stone Manor and writing the fantasy books that would make him a New York Times best-selling author several times over. Okay, that's a little interesting tidbit of information. This July 27th, 2023, on Gary Gygax's birthday, we will be officially dedicating a bench along with the grateful city of Lake Geneva. Stay tuned for our events page to see times and dates for, well, we already know the date. Oh, for this and many other exciting events. Come join us as the Gygax Memorial Fund and the city of Lake Geneva celebrate their most famous son. This completes the second of several initiatives. All right, we'll take a peek at that fulfill the mission statement of the Gygax Memorial Fund to create events and installations that educate the public on the accomplishments of Gary Gygax and his importance to the city of Lake Geneva and the world. Ultimately, these initiatives will lead to the community engagement necessary to build the Gygax Memorial in the city of Lake Geneva. Community engagement, that's your money in their hands. And I'm just saying they've been sitting on that money for well over a decade, and we haven't seen jack or shit generally happen with it. But let's take a peek, shall we, at what these initiatives, what these goals are. So, the specific objectives and tax exempt purpose of this organization shall be A. To commission and place in a public park in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, a memorial to honor Gary Gygax for his literary achievement in creation of the role-playing game Dungeons and Dragons and other published works. Hey, if you're a rules lawyer, this bench likely covers, fulfills A. B. To maintain this memorial for a period of time as required by mandate by the municipality. I'm sure if A is appropriate, B would be appropriate. C. To sponsor informational events open to the public which focus on his work. They've been recently doing this. Again, this fund has existed for over a decade. Now they are doing stuff. Why are they doing stuff now? In my humble opinion, they were doing stuff now because they want to ask for your money soon. How soon? This summer. For what? For the statue, which will include, I believe, other benches and a table, and you can game with Gary. It's going to need a lot of money, more than the GMF has, because it just bleeds funds very slowly. So what else? What else? To engage in other activities related to public education on his achievement. Okay. And the informational events open to the public. That's kind of the same thing. But all right. We'll go back to the page and look at that stuff. E. To establish a scholarship program in his name for students with a demonstrated need for assistance to study at an accredited college or university. This money has been sitting in, apparently, a non-interest bearing account for a decade. Why hasn't the scholarship program ever been put into place? I don't know why. But I guess you could ask Gail, ask Paul Stoneberg. I'd like to know why that has never happened. So, here we are back at the Gygax Memorial Fund, Gygax Memorial Initiatives. Let's look at these initiatives. Adventurous map of Lake Geneva. Okay. It looks kind of cool, but and it's copyright Paul Stoneberg. It's not copyright, by the way, the Gygax Memorial Fund. It's copyright Paul Stoneberg. So I don't know if that actually counts because it isn't really part of it. Now, a fully detailed final version of this map and Terse Key will be available to flyer for purchase here at TLB Games, with a portion of the proceeds being donated to the Gygax Memorial Fund. So that's really not an initiative. Okay, I don't see that being an initiative. My humble opinion, I could be wrong. It's certainly interesting, but yeah. Lake Geneva Public Library, Appendix N collection. Well, this was very recent. The article isn't dated, but I've just started hearing about this. That's kind of cool. All right. So I guess they're finally doing some. These are all, again, all things that could have been done a decade ago. Why didn't they? Because they were stuck on getting the guy who did the Fonzie statue to do this non-existent statue, Geneva Lake Museum. Now, mind you, this is not the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum. This is the Geneva Lake Museum. In December of 2012, Gary Gygax had the idea to have the Gygax Memorial Fund partner with the Geneva Lake Museum to produce a cooperative exhibit of the life and accomplishments of her husband. Okay, that was in 2012. Talks were begun with Lake Geneva Museum in September of 2019, 7 years later. So she had this idea in 2012. The museum wasn't approached until 2019. Why? I think we'll find that Paul Stoneberg came on board. So Gail wasn't moving with any of this stuff, just so you know. On February 21st, 2020, Hammered Game Table was presented to the Geneva Lake Museum with a donation of a beautiful, fancy, nautical-themed game table to be featured in the Gygax exhibit room. So that was donated by another company. It wasn't donated by the fund. Gary Gygax, on November 8th, 2021, presented the Geneva Lake Museum with a framed stained glass sign that hung in a TSR's original Dungeon Hobby Shop in the old Hotel Claire building, now the Landmark Center. On March 5th of 2022, on behalf of the Gygax Memorial Fund, Paul Stormberg, owner of the Collective Trove online RPG house, donated a set of 30 original heraldry designs for Gary Gygax's Medieval Enthusiast Club, the Castle and Crusade Society. And of course, there was a March 17, 2023 event to promote the exhibit, and Pocorni was there. A few others. Again, though, this is just happening now because they plan on asking for more money when nothing has happened with this money prior. The Gygax Park Bench. All right, well, we just read this article. And this is not in the original location where they want the statue. Horticultural Hall. Don't even know what's going on with that. Gygax Memorial Fund is working in concert with Horticultural Hall to celebrate its historic importance at the site of the first ever Lake Geneva Gaming Convention. Not much details on that. So, folks, what can you expect? You can expect hands out this summer. Okay, my understanding it was being pitched at GaryCon this past March. What are the expectations? The expectations are they're going to sell bricks. These bricks, and by the way, I got in trouble for a joke about bricks back in 2015, 2016, which and I made the joke. I called them burning rubber bricks because they would stink. It was actually a pretty stupid joke. because there was already talk about selling these bricks to pay for the maintenance of the memorial, which wasn't even in existence yet. It still isn't, by the way. This was back in 2015, 2016, as I was getting ready to retire. Flash forward 2016, I go to my first Gary Con, and then like a year or two later, Kotaku was doing an article, and Gail remembered it as Tenkar threatened to throw burning rubber bricks at her. I'm not saying my joke was funny. It certainly wasn't. In retrospect, it was stupid and makes very little sense. But I never threatened to throw anything at Gail. So take that for what it's worth. If you're asking me, is the Gygax Memorial Fund the place that you want to donate your money? A fund that can raise. Well, here, I'm gonna do something. I'm going to show you something, and we are going to look at the yearly loss and profit. So we're going to look at the yearly loss and profit. Okay. 2021. They took in $110 and they spent over $1,500. In 2020, this is the fund. They took in $20, spent over $6,700. 2019, they took in 101, spent nearly 3,200. 2018, they took in $10, put out over 6,800. 2017 took in 235, spent over 2,100. 2016, another $10 year, spent 339. 2015 took 566 in, still spent nearly $4,000. 2014 took in 421, spent nearly 21. So what was the last time that this fund made money? 2013. Took in over 94,000. What was that from? Well, that was from something very important, right? The sale of the reprint AD&D 1E books. For that, I believe for 2012, similar stuff. 2010 and 2011, I believe it was at least one of those years was the Gen Con auction. So you see a lot of money spent and not much to show for it. Do you expect that your monies, that if you donate monies for a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter, however they're going to run this summer, I'm hearing July, but who knows, is it going to be money well spent? You be the judge of that. I can't tell you. I can tell you my thoughts, which I have been, but these are the decisions that you're going to have to make with your money and say if it's a good investment. I don't know. Don't know what to tell you. I wouldn't feel comfortable, but maybe you do. All right, folks. On that note, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, roll them well. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, Talking Crit, myself and Bad Mike. I don't know if we have a special guest or not. I'm leaning toward not, but who knows? Things are subject to change. It will definitely be a North Texas RPG Con wrap up. We got a lot of stories to tell and an audience to tell them to. All right, folks. God bless. Laters.